Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Good afternoon and welcome to Olympic Village for Saturday afternoon NPLW Victoria football. Just a few minutes behind schedule, but both teams now out on the park as Heidelberg United continue their march towards the Premiership crown. They won't be able to seal that this weekend, but will be within touching distance with another couple of results going their way. This afternoon they host Brunswick Juventus, a team with very different concerns ahead of them. They're in a relegation dogfight and having stunned South Melbourne last time out, which gave them real hope of making a dramatic escape from the droppers. Well, they ultimately managed from last campaign. They've now got an almighty task before them if they're to put together a couple of consecutive wins, taking on a steamrolling Heidelberg who have looked nigh on unstoppable at times this season. My name is Oscar Rutherford. Thank you for your company for this afternoon's games. Walking through the starting 11s for both teams. For the Burgers, they're coming off the back of midweek action with a comprehensive victory over lower division opposition Bandura, a 7-0 win, the full-time score in their Nike Cup semi-final. That booked the Burgers their spot to the Cup final at the home of the Matildas in a couple of weeks. And they've made just one change from the starting 11 that played in that Cup game midweek. Molly Burke is back into the starting 11. She takes the place of Maya Hayson, who's not available for selection in this afternoon's game. And also paves the way for Eve Tiktakakis to make her return via the bench. So maybe we'll see one of the young Heidelberg talents back on the park here at Olympic Village later this afternoon. Brunswick Juventus, they've made a couple of changes from their shock win over South Melbourne last week as play is underway with Juventus, the team initially in possession. Sienna Coppola is back in the starting 11 for this afternoon's game. Well, there's also a change in goal as Sophia Varley, the mid-season recruit, having spent the A-League campaign with Melbourne City, is between the sticks, which sees Peyton Woodward start this afternoon from the bench. The other player to lose her spot in the 11 is Holly Tansen, who starts today from the bench to make way for Sienna Coppola. So a handful of changes to the respective 11s. It's Heidelberg who have made the first foray forward. They've managed to win back possession high up the pitch and get themselves a corner. We'll run you through each of the full starting 11s in a moment after we see whether this corner is dealt with by Brunswick Juve. Burgers heavy favourites for this afternoon's game and would love an early goal just to ease any tension that they might be feeling. Cross sent in deep into the box. It's the first real test for Sophia Varley, who deals with the challenge comfortably. Two strong hands to the ball. For Heidelberg, in goal for them is Mia Bailey. And going through the rest of the 11, number 3 is Rosie Wild, number 4 Cam Barrero, number 5 Sawa Matsuda, number 6 is Sarah O'Donoghue, number 7 is the captain Steph Galea, number 12 Caitlin Carriage, number 13 Tamar Levin, 14 Aska Miata, 16 is the inclusion Molly Burke, and 22 is Bella Wallhead, another one of the mid-season returnees to Olympic Village. For Brunswick Juventus, as mentioned, Sophia Varley in goal. Number 4 is Navaline Court. Number 6, Sienna Coppola. Number 11, Danny McKenzie. 16, Natalie Grimmer. 17, Layla Butler. 20, Ellie Torre. Of course, back at the venue where she played so much of her illustrious NPLW career, Ellie Torre. Number 21, Teodora Juric. Number 24, Sabine Montenegro. 26, Natalia O'Leary. And 27, the big name mid-season recruit for Brunswick Juve, Mary Stanich-Floody. Here's the visitors who now make their way forward for the first time this afternoon. The ball played out in the direction of Layla Butler, who keeps it in play. Plays it back to Ellie Torre, not quite on the same wavelength as her teammate, though the ball has been kept in by O'Leary. So we'll get another crack at it, will Torre. The numbers quickly converge on the Heidelberg legend. Grimmer ultimately opts to retreat to her defensive partner in Navaline Kaur. And Juve happy to go all the way back to Varley in goal. Heidelberg, of course, coming into this week having responded really superbly on the pitch to what's been an emotionally challenging couple of weeks, to say the least. They've done themselves proud with their performances on the pitch, of course, in the wake of tragedy within the team, and continued their winning run, a winning run which, well, up to this point in the season, they've still only lost one game across all competitions, right back at the start of the campaign here at Olympic Village, where South Melbourne's red-hot start caught Heidelberg flat-footed. Since then, it's been almost perfect from the Burgers, hence they find themselves in a position well clear on top of the NPLW ladder, 12 points in fact. As mentioned in the pre-game, can't quite secure the premiership this afternoon, or indeed this weekend, with two of their closest rivals, Baleen and Burundara, to play tomorrow. But even if that game ends in a draw, those two teams on 29 points, they'd end the weekend on 30, and still with a maximum total of 45 attainable, one more than Heidelberg would have if they won this game, taking their total to 44. So the long and short of it is, they just need a couple more positive results, the Burgers, in the league, to perhaps seal the league title. It's Brunswick Juve, though, who have been doing the attacking in the last couple of minutes, and they've got themselves a corner. A good response from the visitors to the Burgers' early aggression. In swinging delivery, met by the head of Teodora Juric, but not able to take the ball under her control. Has been a good few weeks for Brunswick Juve, which has seen them revitalise their prospects of survival. 2 wins in their last 3 games. That game against South Melbourne last time out, one of the shocks of the season, I don't think it's unfair to say. Did lose to FB Academy the week before that, which really hurt their chances. And when you consider that the week before that they'd beaten Bentley Greens, they had a real chance to pick up 3 consecutive wins, Brunswick Juve, heading into the game this afternoon. It wasn't to be. But nonetheless, they'll be, well, coming into this game with just a little bit of belief that they could maybe spring another surprise result. Of course, we've already had one this afternoon in NPLW Victoria, with Box Hill defeating South Melbourne at Lakeside, putting South's finals hopes very much at risk, the team that will play Heidelberg in the Nike Cup final in a couple of weeks' time. Brunswick Juve still in control as Ellie Torre looks for the release ball over the top. Sets Coppola on a run. It's a centering cross. Hoping to continue the attack there was Butler. Will find its way back out to Coppola. Deflects up into the arm of the defender, and there are some really strong shouts for a handball call. The central referee, Matteo Brazzali, though, unmoved. And Rosie Wild will be very happy to see the ball out for a Heidelberg throw, having dealt with what would have undoubtedly been a nervy moment as the ball did fling up onto her arm. Having to make do today, Rosie Wild, without her regular centre-back partner in Maya Hayson. Looking as if Bella Wallhead is the player who's taken up that right centre-back position. Cross sent in again by Stanic Floody. And at the moment, it's very much the visitors who are on top of the general play, making life very uncomfortable for their hosts. Their coach, Justin Nyaria, you can see in the background, motioning his team, encouraging them to keep up the early pressure. And they make their way into the penalty area to Brunswick Juve. And once more, they will have themselves a corner. Stanic Floody heading over to that far corner flag, which somewhat blends into the advertising board behind it. Another opportunity for Juve to put it into the mixer. Stanic Floody to deliver. Headed well clear by Wallhead. Galea hoping to latch onto the ball. Instead, it's returned in the direction of Mia Bailey, but this time the goalkeeper very grateful to watch it roll wide of her post and behind for a goal kick. Not the main concern of the two teams on the pitch today, but there are a couple of really interesting fixtures this weekend in terms of the final race. We've already seen some big games for the relegation battle last night. Preston winning at Kingston Heath against Bentley. That one very much stranding the Greens at the foot of the table. Not exactly doing Brunswick Juventus a favour, who are now once again 6 points behind Preston Lions. They'll be looking to keep the pressure on those teams who are hoping to be comfortably secure in the middle of the table. And if this first 10 minutes are anything to go by, they're very much in with a shout of getting a result here from the Village. It's rather unlikely, but they've got a whole lot to play for. Brunswick Juve, they're in good form. And early on, they're really bringing it to the defending champions Heidelberg United. And now they have themselves a free kick. Taking place concurrently to this game, a little bit further south in Melbourne's east, is the Alamein Essendon Royals game. That one was 1-1 at half-time. And of course, the Burundara Berlin game to come tomorrow evening at the Veneto Club. There's still plenty of NPLW Victoria action coming to your screens this weekend, with significant ramifications all throughout the table. Brunswick Juventus once more heading into the penalty area. Heidelberg this time able to get the ball clear. A little bit of space down the right-hand side for Galea in towards Matsuda. It's awkward to deal with for Grimmer, who did an effective enough job. Decision that the final touch coming off a Heidelberg player, assisting Matteo Brazzali today, Giselle Spetzer and Natalie Finlay, the two referees on the sidelines, as well as Liana Georgiev, the fourth official. Barrero, that's a clever release ball for Caitlin Carriage. Carriage is potentially in behind the Juve defence. Goes the cross towards Galea. Some strong defending from Navleen Kaur. The Burgers have themselves another corner opportunity. And once again, it will be Tamar Levin to deliver the in-swinging cross. Has Cambarero short. She elects for the fullback instead, who sends it at a different angle into the box, but Brunswick Juve scramble to defence. wild through to O'Donoghue, who just lost her footing as she was receiving the ball. They've just really struggled, Heidelberg, to seize control of the game in the middle of the park. It's one of their big strengths. It's largely what took them all the way to being champions last campaign, and it's been a huge part of their success this season. Right now they're relying a bit more on counter-attacks. It could work here, though, as Steph Galea's cross inside, finds Matsuda, uses the support of Carriage, who thunders it towards goal. Ultimately wide of the post, though. Just about the best look that the Burgers have had in this game, and they showing that even just relying on the counter-attacking play, they're very much a threat to the Brunswick Juventus goal. Carriage's shot there, rifling past the post. This is Camberero hoping to continue the Burgers' attack. Did almost fall to the feet of O'Donoghue, but it's a fellow A-League star, Mary Stanich-Floody, who won out that time. A third is getting involved in the shape of Caitlin Carriage. But the defensive advantage pays dividends in the end for Brunswick Juve as they come away with possession. Really solid run made down the right-hand side. Matsuda narrowly wide of the post. It was a daring move, I think, by Tamar Levin down that right wing. Got to the feet of Matsuda, who's been so lethal this campaign. 16 league goals she has to her name, Zawa Matsuda. What a recruit she has been, coming across from Keilor Park. Just missing out, though, on giving the Burgers the lead. And after a really promising first 10 minutes for Brunswick Juve, you get the sense that perhaps we're seeing a more expected pattern start to emerge as the Burgers really threaten their visitors. They are by far the highest scoring team in NPLW Victoria Heidelberg. 43 goals from their 16 games coming into today. So not too far behind a rate of 3 per game. Well, you complement that with a fairly sturdy defence. 22 they've let in from their 16 games. There are a handful of teams who've let in fewer, but nowhere near matching the firepower that the Burgers have showcased this campaign. And hence, we come into this round with Heidelberg 12 points clear on top. This is Camberero to take the throw, a player who's found her scoring boots in the last couple of weeks. Scored in the previous 2 league games for Heidelberg, has the fullback. Showing that they have threats on all parts of the pitch to Heidelberg. Levin attempting to make her run through. eventually Juve deal with it, and Grimmer's happy to retreat all the way to her goalkeeper, Sofia Varley. Madeline Kaur now looking a little bit further forward. Maybe just wanting to spend a couple of minutes on the ball, Brunswick Juve, to try and blunt the Heidelberg threat, which has been accelerating in the last 5 minutes. It's good close control by Matsuda. Sets up O'Donoghue, who we've seen hit from that kind of range before, but this time it's off target. So this is the real test for Justin Yaria's team. Right now pinned well back in their own half. Just having to try and hold firm to deflect the Heidelberg flurry. Guerrero again playing her part to keep the ball locked in the Brunswick Juventus half. They do look, the visitors, as if they've finally found a way clear, trying to break down that left-hand side. Not quite to be for Sabine Montenegro. Ascamiata releasing Galea down the right-hand side. Steph Galea is never likely to beat Varley from that range and angle. Nonetheless, did draw a save from the shot stopper. Again, Miata trying to steal in ahead of her opponent, unsuccessfully that time. As Mackenzie looks to launch Brunswick Juventus attack in the opposite direction. O'Leary trying the reverse pass. Not on the same wavelength as her teammates with that move. Natalia O'Leary, who's been a big part of the late season resurgence from Brunswick Juventus, has 4 league goals to her name already, having joined the club in mid-season. Heidelberg again threatening Sofia Varley's goal, but goalkeeper is alert to the danger once more. Just finished on O'Leary, who joined Brunswick Juve from the West Florida Flames in the US. If she continues scoring at the rate that she has over the last month or so, then it's safe to say that her signature will be well in demand for next campaign, whether Brunswick Juventus are in the top flight or not. Just ticking past the halfway point of this first 45. 22.5 minutes that can be fairly evenly divided into 2 sections. The first controlled by Brunswick Juventus, and since then it's been largely Heidelberg on top. But bucking that trend potentially. An opportunity here for Brunswick Juve as they've got themselves a dead ball situation. And another chance to deliver into the penalty area. Ball sent in. It's a fairly flat delivery. And Caitlin Carriage will attempt to release Galea, who's been very often the target of the Heidelberg counter-attacks. That time the ball has too much juice on it, and it's well ahead of the Burgers veteran. Core very nearly turning into trouble with Matsuda lurking. Did well to keep her head though. Now Grimmer has Torre, which is where she heads. Ellie Torre looks towards the middle of the park where it's collected by Stanic Floody. Stanic Floody hoping for Coppola to continue the run. Falls into the feet of Butler, whose cross is a good one as well. Had really nice shape. Fortunately for Heidelberg, they had the numbers getting between the ball and Butler's teammate. Cross back inside, Stanic Floody again arriving. Now causing some panic at the back for Heidelberg. This is Butler brought to ground. No foul though according to our referee. Nonetheless, Brunswick Juve reminding their hosts of the threat they continue to pose. And in the end, it's Juric who makes the decision to play it sensibly back to the central defensive pairing. It's a sloppy pass from Core, and Galea will look to punish. Has the support of Karic. Deciding, though, that the numbers aren't in the right position to continue with the transition move, and instead Heidelberg will spend a little bit of time with the ball at their feet. Stanic Floody has the run made by Butler. Butler uses Coppola. Coppola's run continued. Did have O'Leary in the vicinity. Now it's Torre who's overshot that cross. But yet again, Brunswick Juve, they're looking far from toothless. They've really added goal scoring to their game in the last handful of weeks, even in that loss to FV Academy, scoring a couple of goals. Three consecutive weeks in which they've scored 2 or more goals. Brunswick Juve, it's certainly their best scoring run of the campaign, and a big part of the reason they've managed to seal a couple of wins. Now they're having to do some defending again though, but Matsuda's offside. Montenegro hoping for O'Leary inboard. She was in around that position, just slightly missing the target, but they'll get another crack at it, Brunswick Juve. Little toe in there from Mackenzie. Montenegro trying to keep the ball in play, but unsuccessfully. Juric looking to win it back from Levin. Guerrero hoops it up towards Matsuda. And Matsuda back to the fullback. That's well read by Mackenzie though. Had O'Leary and set her too extreme of a task, did Mackenzie. Well ahead of the attacker's run. Wild now, lofting it forward. Grimmer, best position to cut it out. And now Stanic Floody uses the overlapping run from Montenegro. Spread out to O'Leary, who's apprehended by Molly Burke at the expense of a corner. Seeing how difficult Natalia O'Leary is to defend, drifting inside so often. Going in between really that full-back, centre-back zone. Molly Burke did well to get back and snuff out the chance there. Still though, she and her team have to defend this corner. I've seen a handful now for each team in this first half. All delivered by Juric over the head of just about everyone. Butler keeps the ball in play. Core across to Stanic Floody. Did just enough to continue the attack. This is O'Leary. Askimiata's there helping defend. Wallhead as well. Ricochets awkwardly for Heidelberg, but it works out in the end. And Carriage hoping for Matsuda, really cleverly read by Grimmer. And with that, Brunswick Juventus repel another Heidelberg counter-attack. Plenty of credit has to go to the visitors for the way they've managed to return this game back in their favour. There's a mistimed challenge coming in. And it will result in a yellow card for Caitlin Carriage. Looked to be the Montenegro run which Carriage was trying to deal with. And maybe the sliding attempt of more of an attacking player, Caitlin Carriage. So a yellow card, but also another set piece to defend if you're Heidelberg. This one has Mary Stanic Floody's name written all over it. The player who spent the most recent A-League campaign at Canberra United certainly has some special things in her locker. Stanic Floody, not too far away, but a little bit too much height, and Mia Bailey grateful to watch it soar over her crossbar. Well, after Brunswick Juventus came out really strong, Heidelberg looked as if they'd just wrestled back control, and perhaps the game would head towards more the direction that most onlookers would have expected prior to kick-off, with Heidelberg generally in control and creating the weight of chances. But Brunswick Juve have proven they've got another gear or two to go to. So they've once more made life rather uncomfortable for their hosts. Not just prepared to sit back and absorb either. They know they need points, Brunswick Juve, and ideally more than one. As unlikely as it is, they're going about it the right way at the moment. Still, though, the Burgers' threat remains ever present as Levin and O'Donoghue work together to get it out to Askimiata. Now all the way to Matsuda, back to Miata in the middle of the park. And just to paint the picture of how impressive Heidelberg have been over really the course of this season, but particularly the last couple of months, having booked their ticket to the Nike Cup final in midweek. This would be, if they were to win this afternoon, a 12th consecutive win across both league and cup competitions. 9 in a row just in NPLW action. They have been ruthless in their success. Doesn't mean anything just yet. They're closing in on the premiership, but as we know, they've got some big games still to come if they are to claim multiple pieces of silverware, even if, as things stand, they'd be heavy favourites to do so. Potentially on track for a historic treble, Heidelberg United. But right now, 34.5 minutes into this game against lowly Brunswick Juventus. They've really got their work cut out for them, the Burgers. Butler for Brunswick Juve nearly coughs it up in an unideal position, but Grimmer was quick to scurry back and send it out for a Burgers throw. Strong use of the body by Levin. A shot off the back of Core, and Varley sent scurrying as it deflected in the direction of her goal, but ultimately wide and behind for a corner. Levin this time goes direct. It's beat just about everyone on the park. Nearest to it looked to be Rosie Wild, but a little bit too much height on it for the central defender, so Brunswick Juve will again get to reset. This is Bella Wallhead for Heidelberg. Uses centre-back partner Rosie Wild again. Of course, coming up against her former club this afternoon, one of her former clubs, Rosie Wild. But has slotted very comfortably into the heart of the Heidelberg defence this campaign. Rewarded for some strong showings at NPLW level. Being brought across to the village. Saw the threat of Mary Stanage-Floody and opted against being too experimental with such a high caliber opponent ahead of her. Spin Montenegro will get to this one first. Plays it centrally. It's a risky pass as well, and it creates the chance for the long range attempt. Once again, though, Sophia Varley fairly comfortable in dealing with the carriage shot. Ball well won back by Danny McKenzie in the middle of the park. Brunswick Juventus midfield has more than stood up to the task of their very highly rated midfield opponents so far this afternoon. That's a big part of this game being as even as it has been. Very nearly giving the ball away in their build-up there, Juve, but Theodora Juric did just enough. Well, eventually they'll be forced to be a little bit more agricultural in their attempts to get out of defence. Barrero's the player who tried her luck. This is O'Donoghue. It's a great first touch. And now with the left, Sarah O'Donoghue opens the scoring. A wonderful display of skill. And the left-footed finish has just the right amount of height to beat Sophia Varley in goal. And after what's been a tense and tight first half so far, Heidelberg have the lead. Not a real heartbreaker for Brunswick Juventus. Having played the first 40 minutes that at the very least merited a draw score, or scores remaining level, when Heidelberg have the caliber of player that they do. Sarah O'Donoghue can just pick up the ball in a dangerous area and ping it towards goal. Sophia Varley caught a little bit flat-footed. And just like that, the Burgers had the lead 5 minutes before half-time. Bit of a heavy touch there from Molly Burke, and because of that, it's gone behind for a Juve corner, so a bit of fortune for the visitors. And they will now have their chance to respond instantly to the Heidelberg opener. Sent in by Mackenzie. It's misdirected though, and sets a number of players on a running race towards the byline. Kept in effectively by Butler, but Heidelberg had more numbers around it. Stanic Floody there with the intercept. Now Montenegro to Mackenzie, inside now to O'Leary. That one well read. And Heidelberg now able to potentially spring forward. Galea waits for Suda to get in a position to make the run. So 2.5 minutes remain in the first 45. More than enough time for Brunswick Juve to pull themselves back level. They've shown that it's not off the table in terms of possibilities. They have made the Burgers' defence uncomfortable at times in this first half. Levin gets it to O'Donoghue, who tries to thread the needle with that pass towards Matsuda. Asking a little bit too much, though, of her striker was the goal scorer, Sarah O'Donoghue. Capola loses out to Wild. O'Donoghue again, this time crunched by Mackenzie, but referee happy to let play continue. Carriage very nearly getting the pass right. Yata up towards Matsuda. Core, though, racing out of the back line and hoofing it forward. Eventually the ball finds its way to Butler. And Butler has Eli Torre on the overlap. Just not quite panning out as Capola would have liked. So the offside flag precluding her involvement. In the aftermath, you may have heard Dennis Georgakopoulos yelling for his team to go again, just wanting to keep the energy high. The Heidelberg coaching staff. It's the Georgakopoulos-Samuel combination leading the team this campaign. And well, it's not been their best first 45 of the season. But as we head into 1 minute of first half stoppage, they do have themselves in the lead. O'Donoghue, the target of that throw-in, but Grimmer positioned herself well. It's all good for Varley as her attempted clearance is met by Steph Galea. That will result in a Brunswick Juve goal kick. And you wonder if perhaps at this stage Brunswick Juve will be happy to lick their wounds and head into the sheds. Just the 1 goal down. It's been a really decent showing from Justin Iari's team. And on another day, maybe they could have got themselves a goal and had themselves in a better position than this. We'll see whether they're able to replicate that performance in the second 45, because that's half-time at Olympic Village. It is Heidelberg who lead 1-0. The game, as it stands, heading in the direction that most would have picked pre-game, but it's been far from straightforward from the Burgers, or for the Burgers rather. Brunswick Juve posing a real test up to this point in the game. Sarah O'Donoghue's goal 5 minutes before the break is what separates the teams at the minute. But still plenty of football to come in this Saturday twilight fixture. At the break, though, at Olympic Village, scoreline reads Heidelberg.
Let's go!
Play back underway at Olympic Village. Second half of Heidelberg and Brunswick Juventus. It's the Burgers who had the lead at the half-time whistle. 1-0 the score thanks to Sarah O'Donoghue's long-range strike. So things going to plan, at least in terms of the scoreboard for the Burgers. That perhaps, though, doesn't convey just how challenging Brunswick Juventus made that first 45 for the league leaders. And if they're able to replicate their first half performance in the second 45, Brunswick, then they are very much still in with the shout of getting something from this game, as unlikely as it would have seemed pre-game, and indeed even seems now. Rosie Wild there, making her first defensive intervention. And doing enough to win her team the throw, which will be taken by Molly Burke. Towards Levin and O'Donoghue, the goal scorer. Steph Galea picking up the loose ball and playing it back to Camberero. Wallhead ultimately forced into retreat to her goalkeeper Mia Bailey. Brunswick Juve, of course, in desperate need of points as they seek to move clear of the relegation zone. Coming into today 4 points ahead of Bentley Greens, level on points, of course, with FV Academy. And now, following Preston's win last night, 6 points behind the Lions. So still plenty of potential for movement for Brunswick Juventus, both up and down the table. This is Coppola for Juve, looking to cause some trouble for the Burgers' defence. There's a pretty firm thud as Molly Burke and Coppola both competed. Burgers, meanwhile, with a win, would move just really one step away from sealing the premiership, as we see O'Leary's first attacking involvement of the half. That run down the wing, and slightly awkward for Mia Bailey, but the goalkeeper did well to mop things up. In behind is Steph Galea. Steph Galea with the chip finish, and eventually cleared away. And in the end, the Brunswick Juventus defence scrambled effectively. Galea very nearly able to double the Burgers' advantage. Plenty of calls from the stands for an offside flag, which wasn't forthcoming. Can confirm as well that the concurrent game to this, not precisely concurrent in terms of kickoffs, but a bit of overlap between this game and the game at Dorothy Labour West Reserve between Alamein and Essendon Royals. It was Essendon Royals who picked up the away win against Alamein, so another big win for the Royals as they continue their surge towards a final spot. Chance here for Aska Miata, tried her luck from a long way out. That win for the Royals will see them jump into equal on 29 points with Boleyn and Burundara in second and third spots. So they'll be the four teams in the finals, or the three teams rather, in the final spots alongside Heidelberg come the end of this weekend. South Melbourne and Box Hill sitting just outside. Heidelberg will, of course, be curiously observing to see which teams will be their likely opponents come finals time. Essendon Royals, a team that Heidelberg do still have to play again this season. In fact, the last round of the regular season will see the Burgers head to Cross Keys. Posed a real test to Heidelberg here at Olympic Village, did Essendon Royals a couple months back. 3-2 Heidelberg ended up coming away winners, but having to come from 2-1 down to do so. So that gives you an indication that Heidelberg will have plenty of tough assignments still to come in the following couple of months as they head towards a potentially memorable season with multiple pieces of silverware. Right now, though, their minds will very much be on the task at hand as Brunswick Juventus continue to prove to be a stubborn opponent. Miata plays it back to Levin. Levin spreads it to Matsuda, trying to skip past Montenegro. It's really solid defending from Brunswick Juve's mid-season recruit. Miata again looking to pick out Matsuda. Levin, though, unable to keep control. O'Leary's pass put Montenegro under a bit of pressure, but she cleared it forward. Now Camberero into the chest of Karic, who turns into a bit of space away from Juric. Levin thought about pulling the trigger once she'd manufactured some space. Barrero with the cross. It's awkward to deal with. Varley did well in the end. Really bounced up at her as she went to ground to try and smother the ball, but did just enough, the Brunswick Juve goalkeeper. And now it's the visitors who can look forward. O'Leary wrestling with Miata. And the referee has picked out a foul. And so that will allow Brunswick Juve to continue their foray forward. Stanic Floody standing over the dead ball. Not blessed with a whole lot of tall timber, Brunswick Juventus, if they are to lob it into the box. That is the chosen route. O'Leary unable to trap the ball. Juric sending it forward before it was sent back skyward. O'Leary somehow found a way clear of the Heidelberg cul-de-sac and drew the foul as well. So really for the first time in this second half, Brunswick Juve spending a more extended period in the Heidelberg half of the ground. The Burgers have been a little bit more direct once they've had the ball so far in the second 45, just looking to get the ball upfield and maybe cause some panic amongst the Juve defence. And now Mary Stanic Floody looking to return the favour with the ball into the box. Galea got there before Mackenzie. And there was a chance for O'Donoghue to latch onto that one. Eventually the ball finds its way to the feet of Levin before Barrero finds Miata in a little bit of space. She turns away from Coppola to use one of her central defenders in the shape of Rosie Wild. And it's now Wild who lofts it forward towards O'Donoghue. This is Levin. Has Caitlin Karic in support. Maybe saw out of the corner of her eye the run from Matsuda, but that ball always favouring Brunswick Juve's goalkeeper, Sophia Varley. O'Donoghue. Thought about using the run of Galea, instead waits for Barrero to arrive. Now Eli Torre for Brunswick Juve, hoping to find Coppola, but she's surrounded by about 3 Heidelberg shirts, so never likely to win that contest, the Juve forward. Once more, Levin trying to pick out Galea. Sviavali has been heavily involved in this game, and she's once more called into action to bring an end to that attack. It's fair to say that as tight as this game has been, Heidelberg wouldn't have expected an easy ride this afternoon. They did, of course, play Brunswick Juve a bit earlier in the season up at CB Smith, and that too was a real tussle. Heidelberg needing to mount a late comeback to secure the 3 points. Goals from Kerwood Wagner and Matsuda cancelling out the Brunswick Juve opener. Kerwood Wagner, of course, now having made the move down to Bentley Greens. But it's been a real dramatic shift in the meetings between these teams, which up until this season have been heavily favoured by in Heidelberg's direction. Sorry. Chance here for Matsuda with the cross in. Picking up and continuing the move is Karic. Still Caitlin Karic looking to make life awkward for Montenegro. But the defender did well and forced her into a tight corner. This game tonight is the 4th competitive meeting between Heidelberg United and Brunswick Juventus in women's football. Heidelberg have won all 3 previous encounters. It's by a combined score of 12 goals to 3, but when you consider the last time out was a 2-1 scoreline, it tells you all you need to know about how much more even Brunswick Juve have made their games against Heidelberg in the last 6 months. The question is whether they're able to turn that into a result this evening. Any points they can take would be greatly valued. And they'll have another opportunity to deliver a ball into the box. So we see a number of sprawling bodies on that far side of the pitch. Players lunging in, trying to win back possession. Is this the route back into the game for Brunswick Juve? Once again, delivered into the area. Wallhead was the player who got the defensive header on. Now Levin charging from the defensive half. Still going, Tamar Levin. Eventually, Brunswick Juve did well enough to halt the attacking move. Grimmer now looking towards Coppola. Instead, it's Barrero, though, who will regain possession for the Burgers. It's far from an easy end to the campaign for Heidelberg. The value of these 3 points made all the greater by the fact that, well, their last 5 games, none of them really are gimmies in a world in NPLW Victoria where you can say that about just about every meeting between every team, but it's even more apparently the case with Heidelberg's lineup of upcoming opponents. For now, they've got to deal with this run by Coppola. That's a really well-timed challenge from Rosie Wild. It's been a difficult night so far for Sienna Coppola. And with challenges like that from Rosie Wild, it's not going to get a whole lot easier. just for the Burgers. Next week they've got an away game at Wembley Park, Friday night football at Box Hill, before returning here to take on Spring Hills the week after. So those two teams who are still right in the mix with hopes of maybe a late surge for finals football. Spring Hills in particular unlikely, but they are still within touching distance of the top four. Then of course they've got that Nike Cup final against South Melbourne before ending the season with an away game at Preston, back here at the Village for Bulleen, and then away at Cross Keys against Essendon Royals. So we see Tamar Levin going for goal from a long, long way out, perhaps losing a bit of patience. But with that, just over 61 minutes played, we will see the first use of the substitutes bench this evening. And Steph Galea is the player who will be withdrawn. Bronte Peel, the player, getting ready to come on in her place. From the looks of things, Samira Rejepi is also out on the park now in central midfield. And it looked as if it was Danny McKenzie who was withdrawn. Just for the moment, though, Brunswick Juve having to deal with this Matsuda threat again. So Samira Rejepi, one of the number of players who were formerly in the FV Academy team, now plying their trade for Brunswick Juve. That's Bronte Peel, player signed from the Northern New South Wales Premier League, joining the Burgers from Maitland FC, having been Player of the Year in 2024 in NPL New South Wales, Northern New South Wales that is. She's been a regular feature for the Burgers this campaign. Wallhead leading the charge out of defence. O'Donoghue. Carriage now with the strike. Certainly not lacking in power, those Caitlin Carriage shots. And Varley will be grateful to again see it fling wide of a post. Stanage Floody loses her footing. Donahue does enough for it to end up with Levin. Now Core tries the clearance, didn't pan out exactly as she'd planned, but in the end, Brunswick Juve are able to spring forward. Stanage Floody looking to pick out Capola, and Mia Bailey, who hasn't had nearly as much to do as her opposing goalkeeper tonight, having to maintain her concentration and ready to spring off her line there. Might be able to see on your screen that it has started raining in the last 5 or so minutes. A few scattered showers across Melbourne throughout the day. So another chance for Heidelberg to spring forward. Carriage looks cross field. Haven't quite found that connection in the final third, often enough Heidelberg in this evening's game. Second half they've been maybe a little bit more in control than they were in the first, but still hunting that second goal, which will relieve a little bit of the tension which is currently persisting. Maybe that's part of the thinking in bringing Bronte Peel into the attack. Seen her already involved a couple of times, but like most of her teammates, yet to make things stick. Montenegro's throw goes inboards towards Regepi. This is O'Leary. It's a clever pass as well. Sets a task for Butler, but well read by Mia Bailey. For the second time in a handful of minutes, the Heidelberg shot stopper needing to be quick off her line. Well won by Stanic Floody. Wasted no time sending it goalward. Eventually it's thumped clear. It's been a while since Heidelberg have had to worry too much about the defensive side of the game in this second 45, but Brunswick Juve just ever so slightly turning the dial. But with those Brunswick Juve attacks comes more space for the Heidelberg counters. That ball hoping for Matsuda didn't quite reach the striker. Now she gets her chance. She really snapped at that attempt though. It's been a difficult evening for a player so used to scoring goals at the moment. There is Regepi trying to continue the attack. Juric wasn't able to seize control of the ball. That's a nice release from Miata. Just has too much power on it though for Peel. Well, these cough-ups of possession in their own half are becoming more and more frequent for Brunswick Juventus. And you wonder if it's just a matter of time before Heidelberg make them pay. This is Levin getting back to help defend, though, was Stanic Floody. And Heidelberg will be very comfortable to see the ball in this part of the pitch. See the combination of Levin and Barrero in no rush to get play back underway. The same can't be said for O'Leary, who did her best to hurry them along, throwing the ball to the corner. It's Barrero to deliver. A number of Brunswick Juve players, though, in the defensive line. This is O'Donoghue, who spun into a little bit of space and, having scored with her left in the first half, tried it again there, but that one leaving a little bit more to be desired. O'Leary thought about playing it to Coppola, instead continued with the ball at her feet. Ultimately forced back to Core. Now Stanic Floody. That's a well-weighted pass towards Coppola, who keeps it in the field of play. Thought about using Montenegro, went more ambitious in the form of O'Leary, and in doing so has given the ball away to Matsuda. Sawa Matsuda inboard to O'Donoghue, who in turn sends it forward to Miata. This is Peel, gets past one, sends it towards the goalkeeper, Sophia Vali again, in the right place to snuff out the chance. We are into the final 20 minutes of regulation time. You wonder whether perhaps Brunswick Juve have one final push in the remainder of this game. The next couple of games for Brunswick Juve prior to the Cup final weekend see them at home 2 weeks in a row. First they host Alamein, then they host Box Hill. So two teams who are currently just outside the finals positions, who will be heading north to CB Smith Reserve. Suggests that those two will be eminently watchable fixtures, with both teams having a whole lot riding on them. And ending the season, their final 3 games, Brunswick Juve away to Spring Hills, home to Preston, and then away to Berlin at the Veneto Club on the final day of the campaign. Really, when you consider it, not too harsh of a fixture. Only one of the teams currently in a final spot that Brunswick will have to play after today to round out their campaign. That being Berlin on the last day of the season, but those 2 games against Alamein and Box Hill won't be a whole lot easier than playing one of those top 4 opposition. You wonder if they're a chance to pick up some points against Spring Hills and Preston in the 3rd and 2nd last match days of the campaign, depending on how those teams are faring with their respective ambitions this season. There's a ball delivered into the area by Montenegro, but it wouldn't have counted in any case as the offside flag was raised. So really, for the first time in this game, a bit of a lull period has been entered into. So Matsuda looking to very suddenly jerk awake the Juve defence. They responded just in time to send it away from the danger zone. A nice couple of touches from Levin. Now Matsuda on the right. Crosses inboard. Vali eventually able to punch it clear. Juric doing her part as well to get it away. Barrero back into the mixer. Well, there was no shortage of ambition on display from Sarah O'Donoghue. That would have been quite the strike, and she nailed the timing on that volley. Do still have the likes of Anna Rammel and Ollie Tansen on the bench, Brunswick Juve. Attacking threats that they could maybe turn to as they continue their search for an equaliser. Core's under pressure from Matsuda. Sent it up towards the middle of the park where Miata collected. And Brunswick Juve do look to be readying at least one more substitution in the next couple of minutes. They look to make one last attempt at breaking down the Burgers' backline. Well, for all their success this season, Heidelberg United, and there has been plenty of it, just the 3 clean sheets they have to their name in NPLW football. 3-0 win against Box Hill and 4-0 against Burundara, both here at Olympic Village, before the 1-0 win against South Melbourne at Lakeside a couple of weeks ago. And well, all things considered, I think the coaching staff and players would be quite happy to accept a 1-0 win here at home to Brunswick Juve on a day where they haven't really been able to exert their authority and play quite the game they were after. We will now see that Brunswick Juve substitution being made. It's Sienna Coppola to be withdrawn, and Holly Tansen will be brought into the game. Player who made the switch to Brunswick Juve from Heidelberg United in mid-season, so maybe a point to prove for Holly Tansen, also former Box Hill player, as well as, of course, the FV Academy program. She's got around about 15 minutes in which to make her mark in this game. Wild looking central, but Stanich Floody was quickly onto it. Important clearance from Wallhead. Once more, the Heidelberg defence stands up to the pressure. They've made it a very difficult afternoon for the attackers of Brunswick Juve, never affording them a whole lot of space or time. Often using their superior physicality to their advantage. That's clever from Matsuda. A really nice couple of touches and then pretty blatant foul with the tackle from Nat Grimmer. And it does mean a yellow card for the Juve central defender. Done well to get this far into the game, Brunswick's defenders, without having to deal with any cautions. But with that, not only a yellow card for one of their central defenders, but a chance for one of the Heidelberg players. And well, there's no shortage of candidates to look to rifle this into a top corner. Donahue leaves it for Levin. Levin goes along the deck. It was a clever idea. The offside flag had gone up, so it wouldn't have counted had a Heidelberg player been able to get onto it, but just an ever so slightly misplayed set piece routine. Means the Brunswick Juventus, well, the door remains ajar for them as we head into the 82nd minute of action. So just under 10 remaining in regulation. If Brunswick Juventus are to take something from this game. It's a bit of aerial ping pong, falls into the path of Matsuda. A wonderful save from Varley. From close range, that one was rifled at her and she had to react quick. The goalkeeper doing so effectively. Ferrero again to deliver. This time goes a little bit deeper in the box. Finds a teammate's header off the crossbar. Matsuda to finish it off. And that will surely seal the win for Heidelberg. Sawa Matsuda cannot stop scoring. That's league goal number 17 for the recruit. And Heidelberg United surely now wrapping up the 3 points. Finally, they get the corner routine right, the Burgers. The far post delivery paying dividends off the crossbar, and Matsuda the quickest to react. Well, hard to argue that the Burgers don't deserve that second goal. They've really asserted their authority in this second 45. Brunswick Juve have not made things easy for them, but in the end, the quality looks as if it will make the difference. The quality that Heidelberg possess, and in particular their quality in the final third. Is unless Brunswick Juve can mount a dramatic late comeback. Stanic Floody there, driving it along the deck. So looking as if it'll be 9 consecutive league wins for Heidelberg United. 12 wins in all competitions in a row. And the question you really have to ask is, can anyone stop this Burgers juggernaut? South Melbourne will have the chance in the Nike Cup final. A number of highly ranked teams also will get their crack in the final weeks of the season at a time at which, well, you'd imagine, all things going as expected, Heidelberg will have already wrapped up the premiership and will be readying their charge towards another finals campaign and defending their championship crown as well. Is there to be the third goal? The offside flag, though, will deny Caitlin Carriage. Parting through the Brunswick Juve defence. We're just waiting for the offside flag to go up, and Caitlin Carriage finished it off. But our central referee's having a chat with the assistant, perhaps. Maybe about that offside call. So is there to be the third goal? Nope, offside confirmed. Carriage will have to wait for her goal this evening, and that may well have been her final involvement, as indeed Caitlin Carriage will now be withdrawn and replaced by Maya Capitano, whilst the scorer of the opening goal, Sarah O'Donoghue, is also withdrawn, and Catherine Vlahopoulos will play out the final minutes. Maya Capitano, the mid-season recruit, getting her run now, former Melbourne Victory player. And we'll see what she can manage. The number 11 shirt in these final minutes. That ball into the box could cause more trouble. Eventually, Jurich was there to get it away. Catherine Vlahopoulos, of course, needs very little of an introduction to regular viewers of Heidelberg. Very much a handy player to have at your disposal if you're on the Heidelberg coaching staff. Right now, the Burgers looks to still be hungry for a third. That was a well-timed challenge, although both players look a little worse for wear in the aftermath. Both, though, back on their feet. I think it's Ellie Torre who was the most sore, but looks okay to run it off and continue. Don't play as many games as she has without that willingness to cop a few knocks throughout the course of a game. Levin going forward again. Fair to say that the Brunswick Juve resistance has been heavily weakened with that second goal. Holly Tansen doing just enough, although Tamar Levin has suffered the consequences of it. Copping what looked to be a quite accidental knock on her way down. So we'll have a stoppage in players. Tamar Levin is tended to. We certainly hope that that's nothing too serious as we head into the final seconds of the regulation 90. The Burgers readying another couple of substitutions as well as we prepare to head into stoppage time. Just working out who those couple of substitutions are for Heidelberg in the final minutes. Cam Barrero, one of the players making her way off the pitch. And looks as if Tamar Levin is the other to be withdrawn. So we will get the final few minutes with Eve Tiktakakis and Heidi Dry on the park. Heidelberg looking to see out this game with their 4th clean sheet of the season intact. As well as 3 more points, which will take them just within a couple of points of a league title. Being crowned NPLW Victoria Premiers, as they've looked rather likely to do for a number of weeks now. This is Eve Tiktakakis, who's made a return to the club, having first broken onto the scene a couple of seasons back. Spent some time playing football in the US, and now will deliver this corner for Heidelberg. Takes it short. Miata into the box. Finds a head. There's an ambitious bicycle attempt from Bronte Peel. That would have been quite the way to round out the win for the Burgers. Sviavali, I think, grateful that she didn't make quite the right contact to get it past the goalkeeper. He's there to be the 3rd for the Burgers. That ball, well, it bobbled at a really inopportune time. So some disappointment for Heidelberg as they very nearly were able to grab their 3rd of the game. Maya Capitiano in the right position, but didn't get the bubble she was after. So Heidelberg will head into Friday night football next week against Box Hill. Another really difficult test against a team in form and with plenty still to play for. Before returning here to Olympic Village to take on Spring Hills the week after that. Those 2 games in the lead up to their Nike Cup final duties against South Melbourne. For Brunswick Juve, meanwhile, of course, the fight to survive remains on foot. They've shown plenty in their last month of games, even when they haven't got the results. Showing plenty of fight and signs of life. So reasons to still believe if you're affiliated with Brunswick Juventus, even if those next 2 home games may prove to be critical. This is Catherine Vlahopoulos. That one well off target, but for Brunswick Juve, those games against Alamein and Box Hill in the next couple of weeks may prove decisive. Big opportunity to pick up points, albeit against some really tough opposition. So we continue to play now at our referee's discretion. Is there to be maybe some consolation for Brunswick Juve? This is Montenegro. Goes in board, behind her teammate, and out for a throw. O'Leary has toiled in attack all evening, and we'll do one more time, but that's full time at Olympic Village. Heidelberg make it 9 consecutive league wins, 12 wins across all competitions, and move 1 step closer to that premiership crown. For Brunswick Juve, it's another defeat, but another game in which they've shown plenty of reasons to be optimistic as they continue their fight to survive and retain their status in NPLW Victoria. Sarah O'Donoghue scored the goal just before half-time, before Sawa Matsuda wrapped up the points in the second half. Heidelberg still looking tough to stop, and we'll just have to wait and see if any team in the division is able to do it in the next couple of months. Not to be today, though. Full-time at Olympic Village, and the full-time score reads Heidelberg United 2, Brunswick Juventus 0.